All right, let's see who's here. Gotta switch the camera around. Friday Night Live. Let's see. Try and get a good shot here. Craig, how are you? Good evening. Home early? What time is it? About 20 to 6. Not bad. I had today off. My company, fortunately, we got bought out by a bigger defense company, so we have every other Friday off. So I can't complain with that. Every other Friday is like a vacation for me. So good for me. I was going to unbox Maddie. Got off at 3. Oh, okay, cool. You start at 7 o'clock or 6? James, how you doing, Mr. Moderator? How are you, sir? Good to see you. I saw you the other night. I was going to chime in, but Maddie logged right off right there. Tim, how are you? Boy, look, you got the top players tonight. I feel honored. I haven't been on in a little while. I figured I'd do a couple little things tonight. I was talking to, I think it was Craig last week. I don't know. Craig and I are probably around the same age, so oh, not good. I'm sorry to hear that, James. Sorry to hear it. Thoughts and prayers are going to go with you, though, that's for sure. Talking to Craig the other night, just in messaging about the old Saturday Night Live, and there was Mike Myers, the guy who plays Austin Powers, always did a spoof on his mother-in-law, and he did it. It was a lady he named Linda Richman, and she was a Jewish housewife, whatever, but nice woman who had a talk show with celebrities and so forth, and she had the hair and all that stuff. Anyway, she used a word that not many people use a lot, but it's called verklempt. So whenever you get, choked up about something, they call it being verklempt. So she'd be sitting there with people talking, and then they'd bring up a topic where she'd get upset, and she'd be like, I'm verklempt, I'm getting verklempt, talk amongst yourselves. And she'd come up with a topic and say, like jewelry, talk amongst yourselves. So I was going to do a video here about hose clamps, and I was going to call it verklempt. I don't know if it would have gone through. Maybe the older guys would have gotten it, but I don't know about the younger people. But anyway, I thought it was funny. I was going to use it, but let me just explain the story and why. You're older than all of us. I don't know. I'm going to be 56, so no shame in that. I reached the midpoint there. Anyhow, talking about hose clamps. I had a customer come in last Sunday with a snowblower because last Sunday we had an actual storm that night. We got about 8-9 inches of snow. Maddie up north got probably a foot, and I know they got more than that. So, okay, Craig, you and I graduated the same year, Craig. Good for us. Class of 81. Anyhow, guy came in, says, leaking fuel like crazy, yada, yada, yada. Decent customer of mine, friend of a friend. So I said, I'll take a look at it. So what it was like a lot of people do, they use these worm drive clamps, okay? Now, the thing is 59, a couple of years, Tim, no big deal. You just got a little more experience than we do. Anyhow, if you look at this clamp, 60, that's all right, Jim. We're all AARP, so that's fine. Anyway, if you look at this clamp, look at the shape of that thing. Now, this is after I bent it back. This thing, he had this clamp that looks like it's rated for about 3/4 hose, maybe 5/8 hose, around a little teeny fuel line. Now, I've used hose clamps before. I definitely have used them before. And in fact, I have a container marked hose clamps. And in there, I have all different types of clamps. From the most common, which are these spring ones that you see all the time, the little spring clamps that you take, and they work great. All right, I've got the little worm drive clamps. All right, and when you buy worm drive clamps, buy a name brand like Ideal or a good American brand. Don't go to Harbor Freight and buy their worm gear clamps because they snap after 5 minutes. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I also have these, which I think are pretty cool. They're plastic clamps. All right, used a lot in the electronics industry, where they have a little tooth section underneath, and you clip them together. They come in different sizes, and you actually snap them together, and they work great, and they come apart. And I've used these a lot in a pinch too, where you can't get into somewhere. You can use these, and they sell these at electronics stores. And I tell you, I really like them. But getting back to big hose clamps, what this guy did was he used this, and if you notice right over here where the clip twists over, that portion that twists was actually twisted a lot more. So when he tightened down on it, that thing dug right into the rubber, right into the brass hose barb and slit his hose. So he had a massive fuel leak. He didn't realize. I guess after he tightened it that final turn with the screwdriver, he noticed it. So, I didn't yell at him or anything. He was a good friend, and I said, okay, no big deal. So I ended up putting a new fuel line, new hose clamps, and all that stuff on it. But I just wanted to say, when it comes to clamps, if you can get the kind like this, the spring type clamp, they're probably the best if they're a spring enough. And they come in all different sizes, these things. People think they're one size. No, they're not. And fuel line especially, too. I actually have seen these things in at least 4 or 5 different sizes. And you have to make sure they're going to clamp. Some of this rubber fuel line. Hey, there's the doc. You're home. I thought you were working late today. Actually, I'm going to do your unbagging tonight, Maddie, in a few minutes. I was talking about hose clamps and how people use worm drive clamps that they aren't supposed to, the wrong size, and yada, yada. Anyway, all right, that's done. Let's get to Matty O's package unveiling. It's been, what, a week and a half already? I still haven't unbagged it. All right, here we go. Matty O, I feel honored here. It's like Christmas in March. Let's see what we got. All right. I've been watching all your videos, Maddie, on the 350s, 340s, 346s, so I'm getting pretty versed at these things. All right, let's see what we have here in the package. All right, first off, we have the, I believe this is HL Supply, Maddie. No, I tell you, not just binge watching though, because remember, every other Friday I have off. I'm assuming you went to your father's today and gonna put up some good video for us later. But anyway, every other Friday off, I'm usually doing some kind of thing, so why not? I'm gonna try this, Matt. In fact, let me try it right now. I have the saw part right in front of me. I think it was HL Supply who gave you this, if I'm not mistaken. So let me see what's going on. I'll turn the camera on the other side here. I didn't measure it yet. I just want to see if it'll fit. I'll turn the camera on the other way. Okay. This is the 136. The tool based on plumbing fittings, just reducing bushings. That's all it is. And you can see you have the pump for the oil pump, the drive gear, if you will, the drive right in there. Now, all right. Good morning or good afternoon, Lucky and everybody else. All right. So we've got this thread in here. Let's see if it fits. Oh my God, it fits. Yay. All right, perfect, Maddie. Thank you so much. I am going to use it. I'm not going to put, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. We may have difficulties, folks. Let me see. Let me make sure we're not, I don't know, Matt. Let me ask you a question, Maddie. When you did it, did you use the larger end on your oil pump drive gear? Because I have a smaller diameter drive gear on mine, and the small end of this setup fits. I'm just wondering, let's see. Because right now, if I use I'm taking the screw, let's make sure. You know what, Maddie? I'm going to have to modify this slightly or make another one. What's happening is this small end is the end that the fine thread 5/8 jack bolt goes into. Well, on this style of small clamshell saw, the small end, which would accept that jack bolt, is the end that actually fits my gear. On the larger saws, I'm assuming it's a bigger gear, and this thing would be upside down. So the way it works is still going to work fine. As far as the design of it, I just have to get another reducer bushing to go on the other side to reduce this to the 5/8 so I can use the jack bolt. Yeah, no big deal, but thanks anyway. I mean, I think it'll work. The idea is perfect, and I have all the parts for it here, I'm sure. So, but thank you, and I'm definitely gonna use it. So at least I got some. I just have to measure the distance here. Let's see what else is in the goodie bag. I know it's there. It's definitely, it's like Christmas when you know what your parents got you, but you unwrap it anyway. Let's see. Aha! The blocks. Okay. We have 2 base blocks for the 350 series. Maddie, I'm assuming the shiny one that you machined is aftermarket. Captain Jerk, good afternoon. Nice to see you. I'm assuming this machined one is aftermarket, Maddie, and I'm actually going to put it on the surface plate and measure flatness and all that stuff so I can give you those numbers. This one I'm assuming is the stock one. Okay. Like I said, we'll measure them up. We'll check them out. I've been watching all these different videos on porting and all that stuff. And, oh, one thing I saw in your video, Matt, and I'll ask you about this. Let me turn the camera back. And Maddie, thank you, by the way. And we'll get back to you very soon with these things. All right. Back to me. All right. I was watching your videos, Matt, and one thing that you said, Doug, good afternoon. One thing you said in your videos, you were doing a muffler mod. And you had mentioned a percentage on muffler mods. Yep, I'll do that, no problem. And on your muffler mod, I think you said something about 70% of the exhaust port, don't go any more than that. And then I think I saw Tree Monkey or someone else said 80%. I don't know, is there a general rule of thumb that when you open up the outlet of your muffler, you're not supposed to be more than, say, 70 or 80% of the area of the exhaust port? I want to make sure I follow the rules. But it looks, and it makes sense. I mean, if you're bigger than the area of the output, you're not really restricting anything. You're not accomplishing anything, really. And I was just wondering if you saw that. 60 to 70? Okay. Yeah, I saw one guy said 80. I think you said 70 in your video. I didn't know. I think Mastermind had 70 in his video or something. I was watching a bunch of them. But, yeah, I don't want to screw it up. I was going to braze on one of those round tips just to make it look nicer. Some people change them so that the exhaust doesn't blow in their face. That's one thing. I'm going to do it hopefully for the performance of it. And I was just wondering, I mean, you or whoever, there's the 2 get-togethers that are going to be going on in May. I guess Walt's get-together up at that cutting edge up there. That's May, I'm trying to think, May 18th? May 18th or something like that, or May 13th. And the other one's like May 3rd or 4th or 5th or whatever. I saw it on OPE. I definitely would like to bring up, Kathy, good afternoon. I'd like to bring up one of the saws I'm building now, maybe the Snelling clone. I'd like to bring that up there and see. One thing that really excited me, I was watching the videos last week about when you had last year, or I think it was 2 years ago, get together, maybe last year, where that one guy built the dyno, and he had the brake on it from a motorcycle brake. I mean, it was a really cool brake, and I think he changed it over to hydraulic or something. He was getting some vibration. But I would love to see, something I built go on one of these dynos. I know it's not going to be real powerful and all, but you had said in your video afterwards that Brad had sent you the saw to disassemble, and it won the contest for those 350 series saws. So, I'd like to try that out. You didn't by chance cut that piston today, did you, Maddie? The one you were talking about for that 346 clone you're doing? I definitely want to do that on mine. I was just curious as to the sizes you would use for. Are you using a 40 thousandths depth of cut, and do you bring it in maybe 30 or 40 thousandths past the diameter in the center of the 40 pop? Okay. How about the diameter, Maddie? How far do you go in? Just past the swish band in the cylinder? Maybe 20, 30, 40 thousandths? Just curious to see what size you use, because I definitely want to try it on my lathe. Hook that up. I actually have a Honda engine where the piston they sent me was a little too big, and I'm actually going to cut it down, make it a pop-up so I can use it. So interesting stuff. Maddie, not to pick anybody, I also saw in one of your videos, and I'm going to raise a point. You had an adapter you made when you were checking vacuum, and I found out I did it the same way, I believe, and I don't know if you saw the same thing that I see, but I'll share it with everybody. I had an adapter that I had with a compression tester, and I cut the end down because you don't want too much thread sticking into the cylinder, because our plug threads are generally short on the chainsaws. Anyway, the fitting I had a plastic hose barb with a 1/4-inch MPT on the end male, and it seemed like it threaded in just fine. But the thing is, when I threaded it in, whether I used tape or dope or whatever, it wouldn't seal 100%. And I saw in one of your videos you had made one up, and you would use, I think, the same type of setup, and you just screwed it in, I think, with Teflon tape or pipe dope, whatever you used. But it didn't seal 100%. So I used JB Weld, and I welded around. And I'm going to show you my setup that I use. I call it the setup for old people. Let me change the camera here. Hold on. All right. Okay. Oh, no. There we go. All right, my setup. Since my eyes are getting older, I need a gauge that I can see. And I know some of these smaller gauges on the Mighty Vacs, you could barely read the darn things. So I had I have a gauge from an old Sears kit. You guys are probably, the old timers are familiar with this gauge. You used to buy a Dwell tachometer from Sears, and they threw in this gauge for free. It's a 4-inch diameter vacuum pressure gauge, and the numbers are nice and big, so you could basically be blind as a bat and still see the numbers. So I like that because I can see it. It works great. Got it hooked up, teed in with my Mighty Vac. Oh, did you, Craig? Yeah, I tell you. Well, I was getting these weird numbers. I'm like, what the heck's going on? Hold on one second. Let me set this somewhere where I can see it. Hold on. Oh, man. You think your shop's messy, Maddie? Take a look at mess. I'll show you mess. I got mess to rival anyone's mess. 6 or 7 toolboxes, all kinds of stuff. Just like the last time I videoed. I got messes and toolboxes and, yeah, okay. All kinds of stuff. My milling machine. Yeah, all kinds of garbage. But anyway, I'll clean up someday. You know what it is? I go to clean up, and then a customer knocks on the door. Hey, could you fix something? So, yeah, no clean up today. Anyhow, all right, let me set this down. Okay, so what I do basically is I'll take the fitting just to test it out. I'll stick it in before I do anything, just to make sure everything's fitting. All right. Lucky 7, might be a mess. Actually, funny, Lucky, I do know where everything is, to be honest with you. And what's scary, my kids know where everything is. So if I say to my youngest, hey, Beck, go pick me up a number 2 Phillips, drawer 2, she knows. She knows where everything is. My oldest doesn't really care about the mechanical stuff, and my youngest is a mechanical genius like me. Well, not like me, like herself, but anyway. All right, so I'm going to take the fitting. I'm going to hold my finger on the end, all right? And I'm going to pump up. Let's see if we can see the gauge in here. All right, and if you notice, it's pumped up to about 6 psi, and it's basically holding. All right, just got my thumb over it, but it's holding, and that's what you want. And another way, just to test to make sure, I can test the line. I could actually hold the line, crimp it. All right, let's see, just to make sure everything's copacetic. Crimp the line, dead. So you know the line is good, you know the Mighty Vac's good, you know everything's holding, so that's how you can test your fitting before you screw it into the chainsaw. And I tell you, a lot of people, if you look at the manuals, they tell you it has to hold pressure for, 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, 5 bar, which is, not 5 bar. Bars, that would be 75 psi. Half a bar, which is 1 bar is atmosphere, 14.7, say 15 psi, so 7.5 psi. They tell you hold it for 3 minutes, it's good. Then I see other manuals that say, the factory manuals, if it goes down, a pound or 2 over 5 minutes, it's okay. So whatever, no big deal. All right, I'm going to screw this one in. Let me do this. I just want to show someone a leaking seal. One of the viewers. Oh, and what I do too, I put an O-ring on the end of it, just so I get a good seal, a Viton O-ring. All right, so let me screw that into the piston here, the cylinder. And with the Viton O-ring on the end, you don't need a wrench to tighten it up. Just tightening it by hand is fine. I gotta get go. Oh, James, hey, I wish you well, my friend. Take care. Prayers out to you. Hopefully recovery goes well. We'll be in touch. And take care. And I'll be back on. You know me, I got a big mouth. I'll be on all the time. All right, let me screw this thing in here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show everyone the leaky seals. This 136 is owned by a friend of mine, good friend of mine. And the dealership, he brought it to a Husky dealer, and the dealer said, it's a 136. What do you want to put any money into that for? And like most people on here, me included, I love my saws. I mean, some saws have history with them, some don't, but you get attached to them. I mean, one of my favorite saws that I have, and I'm going to do a rebuild on it. Doesn't need it. It runs okay, but I really want to do it. And I'm thinking about bringing it up to Cutting Edge up in New York for the get-together that Walt goes to up in May. It's a Makita, which is a Dolmar. DCS, which is Dolmar Chainsaw by Makita, though. It's called DCS, Dolmar Chainsaw 340. So it's only a 34cc. It's a small one. But I tell you, a guy, good friend, I've mentioned him before in these videos, Myron, good friend of mine. He'll be 89 years old this year. God bless him. Started teaching me about small engines. Love him to death. Hopefully have lunch with him soon. But he gave it to me. I never had a chainsaw before. So years ago, he said to me, he goes, Kenny, I got a million chainsaws. Take one. And I'm like, what? I said, well, give me one. What do you think? So he handed me this Dolmar. It needed a couple things. Needed an oil pump, needed the carb rebuilt, bar and chain, little stuff like that. He said, but good learning saw for you. I said, all right. And I'll be honest with you, I think the first time I used it, after I fixed it, was to cut the stub of the trunk off a Christmas tree that year. And I'll be honest with you, as stupid as it may sound, I had always been using a bow saw to cut Christmas tree trunks when I go to buy. I'd always buy a fresh one. This year I used a chainsaw, and I'm like, my God, how could I have done without a chainsaw for all these years? Even if it's something as simple as cutting down a Christmas tree, and just I don't know, maybe it was just new to me. My family never had power equipment. We had a push lawnmower, and I told people it had one of those Briggs crank starters where you actually wound up the crank, and if you didn't do it right, you'd snap your knuckles. Some people probably, Craig, you probably snapped your knuckles a few times on those things over the years. But anyway, no power equipment for me. Now I'm Ken Small Engines, and I deal with all kinds, so kind of ironic. All right, I've hooked up the gauge and everything. I've got my trusty soapy water. Let me turn the camera to the other side. All right, let's see what we got here. I'm gonna squirt some soapy water on here. Okay, the water's on there, and I'm gonna pump up. Let's see what we got. Hey, look at that, bubble show. All right, there you go. So, there you go. Bubbles mean leaks, so definitely has leaks. The dealer said to my buddy, don't spend the money. It's just a 136. We're going to have to charge you probably $150. That's my Makita battery charger. It plays classical music when the charge is done. That's pretty cool. Yeah, just a little, Craig. Anyhow, both of them are leaking, both sides. Actually, let me turn it around. Do the other side. Let's see what we got over here. Turn it over. All right. Put a little magic liquid there. Let's pump it up. Oh, not really on that side. Wow. Mainly on the other side. That's strange. Well, maybe not strange. I don't know. Maybe the yeah, no bubbles. Huh, interesting. Interesting. Just the one side. Usually it's both sides. Anybody seen that where it's just on the flywheel side? That's pretty interesting. Never saw that before. Interesting. Anyway, got the seals, got the bearings. We're going to do that hopefully this weekend. Oh, turn the crank. That's true. I actually put a nut on there to turn it. Let's see. Actually, while I'm turning it, yeah, you can see the gauge going back and forth. Let's see. Hold on. I'm trying to work with two hands here. Let me see. Hold on. Nope. Still nothing on this side. Just on the other side. Yeah, like I said, the one side is holding fine. The other side is holding nothing. That's right, Nikki. Good afternoon. Oh wait, Nikki's Australia. So, wait, is Australia, Nick? I'm trying to think. Down under, the time down there, what time of day it is. So many people come on from different areas of the world, you don't even know anymore. But good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, whichever apply. All right, so that one there, we talked about hose clamps. We talked about pressure vac testing. What else we're going to talk about tonight? Ireland. Oh my gosh, Ireland. Hey, it's coming up on your day. March 14th? St. Paddy's Day. My friend Patty McCarthy, she'll be hoisting a few, I'm sure. Anyway, what else can I talk about? Oh, pressure testers. I was talking to everybody. Maddie, sometimes when you're doing some of these pressure testers, you're saying, oh, it's a little bit low over reading, whatever. I still seem to think that you want the ones with the Schrader valve right at the very end, closest to the cylinder, because the volume of that hose is going to give you a false reading. So I found this old one that I've had, gosh, for 30 years or whatever. And I'll be honest, I have a beautiful, expensive compression tester that has the Schrader valve up by the gauge to drain it. And it does. Oh, okay. I wonder what brand yours is, Maddie, because I couldn't find any of them that come in a kit with long hoses, unless I think OTC had one. But it's in the car. And but the one I have, I looked up Stens. If you look up Stens small engine compression tester, they actually have one with a minimal piece of tube on it, maybe an inch or so, with the Schrader valve on the end, like this. No, I'm sorry, with the screw on end. So it's great. I'm going to buy one, but they want $53 for it for Stens. So I got to find someone I know who's a Stens dealer who can get me a discount. Because anyone who's a Stens dealer, they get the stuff for less than half price of the list. So Draper. Draper's the brand. But like I said, anything with the Schrader valve as close to the cylinder as you can get. I was going to put a Schrader core in mine, but the problem is for the Schrader core to work properly, you've got to have the right cutter to get the seat and all that stuff. So this thing works fine. The only problem is you need three hands. But I'll probably end up buying the Stens tester. But I know for a fact that mine versus this is 10 to 20 pounds difference, even 30 pounds, depending on what you're testing. So it does make a heck of a difference. I have another one that's missing the rubber on the end, but you can see the Schrader valves, right? Oop, the Schrader valve is there on the end. It's just missing the rubber stopper piece on the end. I'm going to see if I can grab one of those. You like that? My dealer gave it to me because I spent so much money with him. I'm funding his kid's college. So anyway. And plus, with what they charge you for steel parts, they should give you the caps. It's the only brand I think I know that if list price is $100, it's $100. There is no 95, 96. It's list is list is list. That's, I mean, hey, I guess it's good because that's the way they've always done it, and no, you can't haggle. Anyway, what else can I talk about tonight, guys? The guys that are not into chainsaws is gonna be boring, but a quick one too. If any of you guys ever work on John Deere lawn tractors, especially the ones you get at Home Depot, they're selling them now with General Transmission brand plastic transmissions, CVT transmissions, and got one in today that I have to order the kit for, and basically, you've got a variator pulley and a spring, okay, and the way this attaches to the back of the transmission. This goes onto a shaft, a spline shaft. There's a spline in here. There's a cupped washer that goes over. You compress the cupped washer, and there's an M4 thread on the shaft, the spline shaft that comes out. The problem is the cup washer, it almost looks like a washer you would have on a drag link or a stabilizer bar on a car. The washer that covers this is a cupped washer, and the problem that happens to that washer is over time, it wears out to nothing. This washer used to be that big, and from the side, it was actually a cup washer. And over time, the thing vibrating, it's aluminum, wore right through it. Yeah, that's okay, Nikki. Like I said, I got a big mouth. I'll be on all the time. You'll never miss me. Anyway, so this washer wears out. It wears out on the inside, and what they did was I'm assuming they didn't Loctite the M4 cap screw, and over time that cap screw walks out. As it gets loose, the washer shakes. As it shakes, the spring itself is harder than the aluminum. It's steel, so it wears out the washer, wears through it, and it pops off. No drive, and the customer's like, ah. The funny thing is, the kit. If you go onto General Transmissions or Amazon, the General Transmissions part number, it's about $50 to $60, depending. You go on John Deere and type in the John Deere part number for the kit, it's $128. So talk about a markup. So if anyone's working on John Deere's, and can I make that in aluminum? Oh, you mean the washer, Maddie? No, I'm going to put a steel washer on. I'm not going to do it. If the kit comes with another aluminum washer, I'm going to make my own out of steel. I'm not going to do anything like that. Mrs. will miss me. Anywho, yeah, so that's going to be a repair. The problem is it's going to take about 3-4 days to get that thing. Amazon is great, but this one didn't have Prime option, so who knows when I'm going to get it. But I'd rather spend $51 versus $151, so no big deal. I can pass on some savings to the customer. They'll be happy. No, aluminum, Maddie. Yeah. Oh, plastic. It wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes. Actually, what I'm going to look for is I probably have some stabilizer links here, old stabilizer links when I used to change them out for polyurethane for sway bars and things. I may have one that can work in its place. So if that's the case, it'll be like gold iridized steel. I'll just use that. So no big deal. All right, what else do I have to talk about today? Let's see. Anybody got any topics they want to talk about? I'll talk about anything. But I'm just trying to think what would interest you guys in the time remaining. Let me see. Oh, Maddie, question. On that 346 that I'm doing, the Snellerized part, well, I can't talk about that. My wife, she'll hear me. Um, the intake, you had said that I can put a 357, 359 air cleaner on it or something. You get a chance, text me the numbers on that because I'm going to check out the carb and see which one I have. I think it's an EL42 that's on there now. If it is, I'll stick with the EL42 because I think that's okay. But I want to put the bigger, nicer, dual-sided felt filter. Yeah, the EL42. But the something about the intake, man. You said to get the one that has like an upper and lower felt. It's like a V-shaped felt on the bottom and the flat on top. A little more surface area, I think, over stock. So I'd like to get the best one on that I can. What I noticed too, and I don't know if this means anything, on that 340, the one I have is 359 intake horn and filter. Yeah, you know what? I went to. I still have my parts list I want to order. I went through your link, Maddie. I'm going to order my stuff through HL. The 359 horn he's out of. He said he was out of it when I try to put in a cart and it won't let me. It says it's out of stock. So, but we'll see if I can get. I'm hoping it's not one of these things I have to make out of 3D printing. You know, saw would be $1 million saw. Anywho, what else? What else? What else? I'm debating whether I should safety wire the muffler screws or if I should just buy the muffler crutch, that little arm that's on there. Yeah, hopefully. Um, I think HL sells that little muffler bracket, the support bracket, for I don't know, I think it's $4 or something, and then you just have to screw it on. I may just do that, but I like safety wire. I use it a lot at work, and I used to use it on my drag race cars all the time to keep clutches and things like that from falling all over the place. So safety wire looks cool. You know, you go to a chainsaw get together and they see safety wire and they're like, what's in there? How come he's got a safety wire? So cause a few conversations. I think that'll be cool. But yeah, those of you guys that are going to be in the brass spreader, its weight is trouble. Yeah, that's true. Luckily on mine there is no charred anything. The bottom of it is nice and orangey. Oh, but what I said before, the chain brake on the right hand side, the chain brake cover is actually aluminum or magnesium. It's not plastic. I don't know what year they went to the plastic covers, but the one I got must be an early one because it's actually a metal chain brake cover. It's heavy. You know, it actually has a lot of weight to it. I was surprised. I saw the end of it. It looked like some of the paint had wore off. Oh, they're all metal? Okay, there is no plastic on that one? Okay. Even how about the aftermarket metal? The aftermarket's metal as well? Because, yeah, it was just when I saw that 45 Rancher. Yeah, but the Rancher cover is so you can get the chain adjuster. Is that right, Matt? So you get the decent chain adjuster that goes with the 455 Rancher. Yeah, okay. I may do another upgrade, another thing. But I'm definitely looking forward to these get-togethers. I'd like to get up there and bring something that I did, and hopefully see how it compares to some other things. I know, Maddie, you had that 350 challenge a few years ago with 4 or 5 saws, the one that Brad won. I'm just, it'd be fun to do another one of those things, especially with the saw that you're building. Yeah, is Craig still around? I know it may be time for bed because he's old like me, but he should still be there, unless it's supper time. Who knows? There he is. What's next on the agenda, Craig? What do you got going on? Any other good bills? Any eBay? Maddie, did you get your eBay? Was it 288 or 281? Whatever you bought. Yeah. I was looking on eBay the other night to see if I could find any bargains, but you guys always beat me to them. So I saw a few things on there that looked like they were bargains, and then you look closely, and not really a bargain. And I tell you, people, I don't know what they're using for shipping, but when I see a saw going for $40 and the shipping's 50, kind of crazy. The 576 9. Oh, okay, the non-auto tune. What's left on that one, Craig? What exactly is left on that one? I'm trying to think. That's the one you got off of eBay, wasn't it? I think that's the one. But what'd you end up doing with the pool on? I saw the chain bar and all that stuff. Is that gone now? Are you going to donate it, or is that going to be a saw? Let's see. You have to get up early to beat. No, you have to get early to brush your teeth. That's what you have to do with Dr. Olson. Um, Anywho, it was funny, man. I was looking at some of the get-togethers from years ago, and I see how your hair progressively went gray, just like me. All of a sudden, one day, I woke up and I was gray. I have to put a heater cord in Dodge pickup. But hopefully you don't take half the dash apart to do it. I know that's a real pain on my Chevy S10 when I had to do that. I take the whole dash apart. What a nightmare that is. But anywho, what else is left? I think I mentioned to everybody gray at 23. Oh wow, my wife was gray at 17 in high school. I mean, she was just premium. I told her, I said, go all gray. You'll look like what's her name, Halle Berry, Storm in one of those Avenger movies. I said it'll be sexy, and she just slapped me. She goes, no, no more gray. Fuel pump and a Volvo. Oh, okay. Oh, it definitely was a fuel pump, or you're at that point where that's the last thing you gotta try. Poulon will be donated. Okay, yeah, it's funny, Poulons for whatever reason. I like them though. I mean, I work on a ton of them, and they just seem to be dependable firewood saws. Giving up, I'll tell you that much, Mar. Yeah, Volvo. Yeah. Oh, it's funny. Volvo story. Went to AutoZone yesterday, or Advance Auto. I had to pick up a battery for my truck, and I bought one of these battery starter alternator testers. The brand is Dotcon, Dotcon. It's called Dotcon. I'll show it in another video. Yeah, don't you love it? You gotta love it, Craig. But anyway, I used one of these battery starter testers, and it basically told me my starter circuit was great, my charging circuit was great, but instead of having 700 cold cranking amps out of my battery, it had about 350 or something. So I knew to replace it. But anyway, I go to Advance Auto, and I never let anyone work on my stuff ever. I mean, I just never do. So I get up there and I walk in, and it was cold last night. I go there, it's still light out. It's about 4 o'clock after work. So I go in there, and I always go online for Advance Auto, because you click online, you type in Advance Auto, a 20 or 25% coupon always comes up. And you know what? I'll take 20 or 25%, especially on a $150 battery. So I click on that. I put my credit card info in. I buy the battery online. It says pick up in store. So I go to the store, and the guy puts it on the counter, and he goes, "Do you have the core charge or the core?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I look on the receipt on the phone. It says the core charge is $22. So I look on the receipt. It says $5. I didn't know this. In Connecticut, auto parts stores cannot charge you more than $5 core charge on a battery. Other states are different. The maximum in the United States is $22. I don't know what state it applies to, but on all Advance Auto receipts, the minute you buy it, you actually buy it, it changes from 22 core charge to 5. I didn't know that. That was interesting. Anyway, so I buy the battery. There's an old man on the counter, and I said, "Wait a minute." I says, "I see you guys install them for free." I said, "Is that true?" Because a little S10 truck, it's right there. And he says, "Depends." I said, "What do you mean depends?" He goes, "Depends on what it is." I said, "Oh, you mean if you have a Volvo or Mercedes where the batteries are under the floor pan or under the seats, you're not going to do that?" He goes, "Nope." And he says, "You don't know how many customers come in and get peed when they say, 'Look, I can spend $300 on an AGM battery for my Mercedes or Volvo or BMW, and you won't install it?'" And the guy goes, "Nope." He says, "I'll install it, but it's going to be about $150. It's going to take me 2 hours to do it." And, I feel for it, because I've done it in a few of my friends' cars. I don't know where the battery is on yours, Maddie, but I know on some of these Beamers and Mercedes, it's under the rear seat. You got to take half the car part just to change the battery out. So anyway, guy comes out to my truck. He's got the tools with him in a cart. Opens up his toolbox. Maddie, it looks like a 93-year-old guy who never brushed his teeth. Half the toolbox, he opens it up, half the sockets are missing. Okay? I mean, I look at the guy, I go, "Wait, you're Advance Auto." They didn't even have the 8 mm little ratchet that you buy to disconnect side terminal battery terminals with. I said, "Where's the 8 mm thing?" "Oh, someone stole it." "Someone stole it?" I said, "I thought you guys do the install, so you're stealing your own tools?" And they start laughing. I said, "Just go get one of the tools." Nope. So the guy's struggling to try and get this battery out. I told him it's a 13 mm bolt that holds the battery hold down. It's one hold down, 13 mm. He takes out a 1/2 inch. Says not a 1/2 inch, 13 mm. So of course the guy's looking at me like, "Who are you?" So he takes the 13 or the 1/2 inch, puts it on an extension, sticks it on. Now he's got it jammed onto the bolt, or actually it was a nut because it was a stud coming out from the back, a carriage bolt. He starts taking it off. Boom, pulls it out. The extension comes out. The socket's still stuck 8 inches down into the battery box. So he's like, "Oh, what do I do now?" I said, "Well, you should have started with the right socket, So I said, give me a long extension." So I said, "Come here." So finally I pushed him aside. I said, "Give me the box." So I looked through his toolbox. I found a big extension. I got on the socket. I got the socket out. I put the right size on. Needless to say, I changed my own battery, okay? So I put the battery back. It took me all of 3 or 4 minutes. Anyway, so I go in the truck, make sure it starts fine, come back out. He's looking at me like he's expecting a tip. And I'm saying to him, "Really? Like, you should be tipping me. I'm going to change the battery. So anyway, you get these places. Like I said, I don't like people working on my stuff. I always, the only time I pay someone is if it's 5 degrees out and I don't feel like doing it. So, anywho. Oh, gosh. All right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap it up. I've exhausted my breath, and I think the wife's going to have dinner ready soon. Maddie, looking forward to your video later. Thanks again for this tool. We'll modify it to work on my smaller ring. I'll get you numbers for the flatness and everything on these blocks. Actually, I'm even going to take a dial bore gauge, and I'm going to check the bore inside where the bearings and those seal rubbers go, just to see how round it is. I'm curious myself. I know some people flatten out on a piece of glass and sandpaper the bottom of it to make sure it's a nice flat surface, but I'm curious to see when it is together how round and what is the bore that goes in that housing. So anyway, that's going to be it for me right now, guys. Thank you for showing up. Hit like, subscribe if you haven't. Appreciate all the subscriptions and all the visitors. Hopefully it's entertaining for you. I know it's entertaining for me now that Maddie Olson's hooked me on doing this live stuff. But anywho, all right, guys, take care of yourself. We'll talk to you later on. Hopefully, Maddie, will see you later on your side.